Welcome to the Game Deflators Podcast, episode 42. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and there's nothing wrong with my targeting computer, Inflation Deflation Challenge. That's right, folks. We're flying through the Mos Eisley sky and taking down the Death Star.
You know, what we've learned today is that...
I know none of that is canon.
Not at all. You know, we've learned today that I am terrible at Rogue Squadron, and I am equally, if not worse, at DDR.
And, yeah, I can attest to both of those things. He has no finger or foot dexterity.
You know, I'd say I have finger dexterity. Foot dexterity, not so much. Absolutely very terrible at DDR. Always have been. But
I
that's
enjoy
not
a
what
good game at DDR, but, you know, that's besides the point. That's not what we're here to talk about today, folks.
We're here to talk about my recent pickups, Brian.
What'd you get, John?
So, thank you, Game Grinder, for this new $23 purchase that I came up with. He actually recently played, so Church from the Game Grinder recently played Radical Dreamers on the SNES. It is pretty much a sequel to Chrono Trigger / prequel to Chrono Cross, which is one of my favorite RPGs. I had no idea this existed until recently, which is kind of scary. I guess I'm not a huge fan of the Chrono Trigger world or Chrono Cross world, and like as much as he is, to where he would just know, oh yeah, by the way, there's this random sequel that exists in between. So basically, it is a text-based novel game where you just read the story, and it has different visuals and things that go on.
Does it have decision making?
You know, I don't think it does. I think
does
it's
it have
just
waifus?
I don't think it has waifus.
Sadly
sadly
not a
enough.
good visual novel then.
But you pretty much are playing or reading the story of Surge, who is the hero or main character in Chrono Cross, and so it's just really cool because it links those two worlds. It really makes me want to replay Chrono Trigger. It's been a number of years, and I know that Cartridge Club for a Game of the Month, that's what they were doing. I don't know if you're following them much on Facebook, but it's just pretty much a really cool group that I'm on, and each month they have a different game of the month, and you can play with them, tweet them, and all that good stuff. So at Cartridge Club, and yeah, so Chrono Trigger was their game this month. I'm guessing that Game Grinder played Chrono Trigger and was like, well, I'm going to go ahead and play this, you know, text-based game that was never released in the US. It's an official game. You know, it's not like a fan-made prequel or sequel or anything along those lines.
I'm assuming it's fan-translated, though. I
would assume so, yeah, because it was only released in Japan. But, yeah, it looks pretty cool. So I think it's supposed to be about 12 hours long overall. I don't know how to save points or any stuff like that works. Didn't know it existed. I just saw that I could get a physical release and said, well, screw it. I'll pay $23 to have it shipped from California.
There you go.
So it'll be here in a few days. That being said, in terms of pickups, I am super excited for this coming week. So Collection of Mana. The physical release comes out. So I'm going to play through that, hopefully, whenever I have some time to get through my backlog. And I've also had my eye on Concrete Genie, which I showed you a video of that one.
Yeah, you sent me the trailer for that the other day. It looks like a really interesting game, to be sure. I really dig the style.
Yeah, I dig the style. Very artistic, colorful. It has kind of that...
reminds me of like a stop motion, like Paranorman.
Yeah, I could see that.
Kind of the visuals of the characters.
It just looks really cool. For anybody who hasn't seen it, check it out on YouTube. There's a few trailers. You're pretty much playing as a kid who has like this magic brush, and he brings his drawings to life in this world of just, you know, doesn't have any light, and it's just dark. And all these creatures begin to appear in the concrete and create like this living, breathing art world. And at some point in the trailer, this dark entity comes through and begins to consume everything, and that's kind of where it cuts off. So it looks really interesting, looks like a pretty cool concept, very much I guess a third-person adventure type of game. And I don't know, I want to learn more about it. It's supposed to release for $30. It's on Amazon for pre-order, so that's a title I might look to pick up pretty soon.
Cool.
I think it releases in October. Did you get anything?
This week I did not buy anything, but I did play a ton of Zone of the Enders, and I'm almost done. I have 2 levels left, and I remember that these levels start to get pretty long because it's like not just one fight. It'll be like 2 or 3 fights with a bunch of drones, and it's just starts taking a lot longer to get through these last few battles, but I've only got 2 more, so I'm definitely going to have a full report on the first part of my 3-part New Games resolution. Done next week.
I can't believe you're going to beat 3 games in 1 year.
I'm going to see if I can do more. I'm going to ride off this right into the next one.
So I'm still playing Suikoden 2. I am back on I can get 100% in this game with all the characters. For a moment there, I was like,
you wavered.
Yeah, I was like, do I want to just go ahead and play through it? I'm like, the ending's already been spoiled for me. Could I look it up? Sure, but I've worked so hard at this point to try and get the 100%. I'm like, I might as well just keep doing it. And the one area that's kind of deterred me is I have to get the 4 squirrel characters in the game, the flying squirrels. And the only way to get them, and I learned there's actually a faster way to get them. So before it was, you have to go up and down in this area, like this part of a map, between 3 or 4 different towns, and they randomly appear in your party. Pain in the ass process. And I was like, I don't know if I want to deal with that. Well, I looked up a random game facts, and the guy was like, yeah, if you blink to a town and then you exit and go to the next one like really fast, the squirrels will just automatically appear in your party. I'm like, okay, cool. Mainly because I missed my opportunity at the beginning of the game. Like, seriously, one of the first areas of the world where you go to behind a tree and you like hit X and the squirrels appear and you're like, all right, cool. I finished that part. Those are the first characters I got. I screwed up, missed that, and yeah, I ended up having to deal with this situation. So, playing Suikoden 2, really cool. Spoiler alert for anybody that plans on playing it. Ryan, you're screwed because you're on the podcast. The character Jowie I was telling you about, that like backstabs you and goes and joins Luca Blight, and he's part of the Highland Army, right? So, crazy enough, he poisons his blood. All right. And it's like this long process to try and get Luca to become king. And so he poisons himself, like injecting poison in his blood, but he's drinking antitoxin the entire time as well. So at some point they try to knight him and they're trying to kill off the king. And the only way to get to the king is through a knighting process. And the knighting process involves drinking each other's blood. And so he poisons his blood, puts it in this glass, the king drinks it, and then he dies, and then Luca becomes king, and there's a whole bunch of craziness goes behind that. This story just, I don't know, man, it just continues to get better. Each time I play this game, there's always something cool that happens in the story, and I'm absolutely loving it. So if you haven't played Suikoden 2, it's already an instant classic for me. I love the first one. I'm loving the second one. I'm going to have to play the third and fourth one at some point, just how good these are. And we finally beat Donkey Kong Country 3, my wife and I. We are on the path to get 103%. Right now, we're honestly in the final like lost level area of the volcano, and we're in the final battle at this point with I think it's Nautilus is his name. I forget the final boss's name. It's like a King K. Rool type of deal. So yeah, we're in the final battle. In his submarine, that for some strange reason his submarine is located in a lake in the middle of a volcano.
That's where I'd put my submarine.
That's where I put my submarine too. Makes absolutely no sense, but that's the final battle. We're in there. We'll get the final banana bird. We'll end up getting the queen banana bird, get the 103%, and we can call that one done.
There you go.
So that was pretty good. Now, anything else, Ryan? Before we move on to our favorite section of the entire podcast.
No, I think that I'll save getting further into Zone of the Enders until next week once it's all done and I can talk about it, because there's no reason to talk about the last little bit and then, when I can just talk about the whole thing next week. So I'll go ahead and bypass that. So this week, we're going to be talking about games. We always like to talk about games, but this week we're going to be talking about a lot of games because there's a lot of stuff about games if you didn't know. So Indie World, we checked out an article on Gamescom 2019, our thoughts on the Nintendo Indie World Showcase. This was by Siddharth Patil of Gaming Purist, and it's just a list of a bunch of the announced titles. Let's see, there's Risk of Rain 2, Torchlight 2, Super Hot, Hotline Miami, Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition, The Tourist, Fogs, Roki, a bunch of games that are coming out on the Switch. And me and my indie Switch games, I love to get into those. And if anybody hasn't played it, play Risk of Rain. Risk of Rain is amazing. I'm super excited for Risk of Rain 2, but you're not going to be able to appreciate what Risk of Rain 2 is without playing the first one. The first one is a retro pixel art, side-scrolling, what would you call it? Like a roguelike kind of. So you have various stages that have a start place and a portal at the end, and then that'll take you to the next stage. You choose a character class that has, you know, basic abilities and starting gear, and you go through the level killing things and collecting randomized loot that gives you different perks and stuff, and kind of adapts into a kind of weird build thing that you do as you go on. Now, the longer, there's no time limit to how long you can take in a level, but the longer you take, the harder the difficulty goes up. So if you spend a lot of time gearing up in the early levels, that difficulty meter is going to get bigger and bigger by the time you get to the later levels, which are already harder, and it's going to make them even harder. So you can race through with minimal gear to try to beat the difficulty counter to the end of the game, or you can try really hard to arm up. And this is all in like cool space side-scrolling adventure. Now, Risk of Rain 2 takes the same game concept but turns it into a 3D first-person game. So it's going to be something totally the same, just from a whole different perspective, and I really can't wait to get on it. I've been excited for a long time, but I'm not much of a PC player. And as much as I'd like to get PC and play with my friends, I think I'm going to have a better time playing Switch and getting them to get Switch.
Yeah, it makes sense, man. So on that list in particular, I was really excited to just see Ori and the Blind Forest Definitive Edition. So Metroidvania, and the art direction of this game just looks phenomenal.
Yeah, if you've never seen it before, it's truly a beautiful looking game, and the soundtrack is amazing.
Dude, that's the one thing that has drawn me to, and it's actually drawn me to a lot of indie games recently, is, I don't know, for whatever reason, like, I didn't play a lot of Metroidvanias in the past, but as of late, I've been playing more and more of them, and I'm really enjoying them a lot more than I thought I would. And this one in particular, art style looks fantastic. The overall music looks great. The fact that it's a definitive edition that will be on the Switch, I don't know, man. It's already got high reviews. It's a must-play, apparently.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to buy it at some point. And it's also really a collaboration between Microsoft and Nintendo. So this is part of that, you know, thing that we had talked about a while back, where Xbox Live and Nintendo Switch and that whole collaboration and what Microsoft and Nintendo are trying to accomplish in a partnership sense. Mm-hmm. And so this is actually, I think, from Microsoft Studios, this particular game. So pretty cool. And it's, yeah, I mean, it's a game that you have to see yourself, and you definitely have to check out the trailer. It's going to be a must-buy for me, and a game that I really am looking forward to. Other games on that list, you know, I'm not really too excited about, like, Hotline Miami. It's just not my style of game. And what was the other one?
Super Hot. I've always wanted to play Super Hot, but the thing is, I'm going to wait for VR to play Super Hot, because that's the best way to play it.
Yeah, and dude, to your point, too, Risk of Rain, that actually looked pretty cool, in my opinion. I didn't even know there was a Risk of Rain 1 until you obviously told me, and I saw the article. So yeah, I'll give that one a shot too, but that one's exclusive to PC, right? Or is this one of those, like, it's on Xbox for, you know, digital release on PC?
No, yeah, I've seen it on Switch, the first one.
So like a digital only?
Yeah, I think it's on my my wish list. Yeah, I don't think it's ever had a physical release, or if it did, it was through, you know, limited run or some such thing.
Yeah, and one other thing, man, that I've noticed recently is I've really started to develop a greater taste for indie games, and it's one of the things I'm really starting to like about the Nintendo Switch a lot more than initially. So my first thought was, I'm going to get this console, I'm going to buy it to play Super Mario Odyssey and pretty much any other game that's, you know, Nintendo focused. I'm finding myself more and more interested in picking up a lot of these smaller indie titles, and that's really awesome in a sense, like supporting small studios, but at the same time having great games that really stick to their guns in quality and really the art style and gameplay versus how much money can we make, how many copies can we pump out, how much content can we put on one title in particular. You know, looking at you, Fallout 76, and Anthem and every other game that's failed in the last year.
Live services.
Exactly. So a lot of these indie titles coming out, it's just appealing to me recently, in that I know that the game I'm going to get is going to be the proper amount of hours for me to enjoy the game. It's not going to be too much. It's not going to be too little. And it's really going to hone in on the quality versus how much can we sell. So yeah, any thoughts on that, man?
I've been talking about that for so long. It's my favorite way to play the Steam library that I never made is on my Switch. I love all the indie stuff on there. I love getting a good deal on something that's super quality, and I love that it's really gonna keep going forward. And I think the Switch is gonna be, for me, the console, because of all these digital downloads and stuff that I'm putting onto it. I think the Switch is probably going to be that console for me that I always keep out. My 360 is in its box. My Wii is in its box. I have my PS3 out because I'm playing a game right now, but I only ever really was using that for Netflix, and I have a Chromecast in that room now. So it's like, I'll probably put that in the box eventually. A lot of these consoles that I don't have room to have set out, I think the Switch is always going to be an out there console for me, because it's just so easy to pick up and have access to this whole wonderful library of stuff and be able to take it with you wherever you go. And that's what makes these the best games, because it's hard for me to sit at a computer and play games and focus in on that, because it's just not how I feel comfortable playing games. So I think that the more the merrier. Keep them coming, Nintendo.
Yeah, man, I'm right there with you. And the Nintendo itself, or Nintendo Switch, is just so compact in a sense that, for me, it's set up, underneath my TV in a little area. When I'm playing it, it's not sucking in a ton of dust, obviously, until I notice Joy-Con drift. And to your point, it's easy to just pick up and play, have it in handheld mode, have it docked, and play a game that way. It's just, I didn't think I was going to love it as much as I do. And I've actually more and more jumped into playing the Nintendo Switch over things like my PS4 and my PS3 games.
Well, if you're looking for something to play on your PS4, though, we've got good news for anybody into the Yakuza series. So Yakuza 3, 4, and 5 all coming to PS4 remake. Actually, Yakuza 3 is already out today. You could download it for $9.99. Yakuza 4 is coming out October 2019, and on February 11th is when 5 is going to come out. They're also going to release a limited edition 2-disc, all 3 games edition for $59.99. And if you look at the pictures of it, it's really sharp looking. The packaging on it, I think it's going to be a pretty good deal for people who are into that series. I've never really played any of that series. I know they're fantastic, and I would like to try some of them. So I don't know if there's it's necessary to do it sequentially, but I would like to try them out.
I've got Yakuza 0. You can play that at any point. That's pretty much a prequel to the series. Kiwami 1 and Kiwami 2. I think I have Kiwami 2. No, I'm waiting on that.
One of those just released on PS Plus a few months ago?
I think it was 0.
Okay.
Or Kiwami, one of the two. But Kiwami is the first Yakuza, obviously redone. So it's not a remaster, it's a complete remake. And Kiwami 2 is also a complete remake. I also bought Yakuza 6 recently on the PS4, so I have that. And then to clarify, these are remasters. So 3 was on the PS3, 4 was also on the PS3, and I believe 5 was released digitally for the PlayStation 4. However, there was no physical release. So for anybody out there that likes to collect these series, you're obviously going to be able to get a physical copy of Yakuza 5 for the first time in this package. And it's going to be $59.99 when it's released. I've already got 3 and 4, so I'm a little disappointed because I already owned those 2 titles. And but it'll be cool to get number 5. And this is one that I'm going to wait for it to drop in price. It's a remaster of a few of the different games, and obviously a re-release of a physical version for number 5. So $59.99 coming out. if you...
It's a pretty good deal, though, for 3 games, and those are, like, massive games,
Yeah, but
right?
I've got 2 of them already, though.
Well, but I mean, for anybody who's new to the series, anybody who hasn't had it, this is a great investment.
If you're new to the series, yes, it's a great investment. Now, to point out, the Yakuza series, from what I've noticed on PS4 releases, with Best Buy in particular, takes easily 3-4 months and a game drops in price. Now, the one thing I would say, though, is if you really want to see more of these games released in the United States, or really west, just out of Japan in general, or I guess east of Japan, pick it up at full price and support them, because
this shows the interest in the market.
Yeah, it shows the interest in the market, and the more of these games coming out west, the better. I mean, these are just great titles in Japan. They're always super hesitant, at least Sega is, to release these games into the United States in particular, because it's never had a huge pickup. Like, the audience has just never really been there. And so I'm really stoked to see them supporting this series here in the US and continuing releasing these games. So yeah, we'll see. And then they also released Judgment, which is by Sega as well.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that.
Yeah, so that's another title that you should look into if you're a fan of the Yakuza series or really interested in getting into them. So Zero, Kiwami, Kiwami 2, they're at great prices right now. I think Best Buy recently had Kiwami 2 for $30, and Yakuza 6 has dropped drastically in price over the last few months. So all really good pickups. Great way to get into the series, and I'm looking forward to playing them. I've been waiting for something like this because I want to play them in sequential order, to your point, and I'm stoked.
Well, John, that's not enough numbered remakes of games. Aren't there any more numbered remakes of games coming out that I could get?
Maybe 8 of some sort. I mean, is that kind of a number?
That's right. Around? Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. So this is a great little set of screenshots you could check out. This was in an article on Twisted Voxel by Ali Hader, or Ali Hadir, I think is what it actually is. So it's just some shots of Final Fantasy VIII, the original, next to the new remake. So according to this article, and I thought it was fishy when they released all those, ports and remakes and, graphical bumps and stuff for all the other games except for 8 a few months ago on Switch. So now we know why. They lost the source code to the original, and they had to go in and do a bunch. But you know what? These screenshots, they look really good when you look at them. I mean, they did more than just kind of, in zoom and enhance or whatever you would do. I don't know. But yeah, it looks really good.
This really isn't touch-up. I mean, this is honestly remastered. I mean, when you look at it now, it's not... So for those of you that are looking at remaster, remake, it's not like they're taking Final Fantasy VIII and putting it into the same style as the new Final Fantasy VII.
No.
This is really just taking the existing game and polishing it a ton. I mean, you're putting in certain sections eyeballs where Squall doesn't have eyeballs.
Well, it says here it's not just a visual upgrade, but Square Enix has reportedly reworked everything to release this on modern platforms. They lost the source code for the original Final Fantasy, so there's a lot more effort in this remaster. So I don't know what that translates to, and we'll probably find out more closer to its launch, which is going to be in September.
September 3rd, I think is what it says.
So we'll have to see exactly what else is different. I never played Final Fantasy VIII.
What?
This is not something that's really up on my radar, but for apparently you and other people out there, this is going to be a big deal. This is a game that I know a lot of people want to see and want to play again, and I think that this is going to be a good new way to do it. It's going to be $20, which is... it's not cheap, but it's not expensive. It's kind of right there with what I think is fair for something like this.
Well, and considering it's like pretty much a full-blown remaster for this game, there's a lot of time and effort that's been put into redoing this game to where it's at now per those screenshots. So really, I mean, you are putting in a lot of support for those developers that worked on this and busted their ass to make it happen. Now, me playing it again, dude, I've beat that game 3 times. And pretty heavily each time. It's probably been a good 10 to 12 years, and probably longer than that, probably 15 years since I actually played it. And I might jump into it. I don't know. We'll see. No, I guess it's less than about 12 years, I guess, since I last beat it. And when I beat it, it was probably within a 1-year time span each go around. It's one of my favorite Final Fantasies. and it's a definite must play if you haven't played it yet.
I think I checked out a little bit. Wasn't there a demo of this included with Brave Fencer Musashi?
Probably
on the PS1.
If you hold that thought, I will pull it off my shelf and I'll tell you.
Yeah, you go check that out. So, I think that it's gonna be something that I might check out. I know my wife's definitely gonna get it, so I'll definitely see this game played in my house if I'm not actually playing it myself. But what has it got? Yep, right there, Final Fantasy VIII demo disc and Brave Fencer Musashi. I called it. I had a bunch of weird games like that. Like, I bought Zone of the Enders for Zone of the Enders, but everybody else only bought it because it came with the Metal Gear Solid demo.
I have that version, actually.
Yeah, and then it's like, I was one of the people, just like everybody else, I bought Final Fantasy Type O just for the demo of Final Fantasy 15, which was way better, I think, than the actual combat system, but we won't get into that. We've talked about that before, I think, a long time ago.
Yeah, we talked about it probably 12 episodes ago.
But one thing I do want to talk about, if we're all done with this, are you done with this?
Yeah, I think I'm done with this. I mean,
okay, so what we're going to move on to is China. China and Dota TI 2019.
China.
So it's going really good. I'm doing pretty good. So I'm actually tied for first in the Bronze League on Strafe. I got 844 points for my picks. Wait. Are
you talking like NCAA tourney for Dota?
Yeah, so you've got this thing, and it shows you all the things, and you get to pick who you want in the matches. And so far, I've only lost. I did terrible in the what do you call it? The group stage. In the group stage, I did absolutely horrible. I think I was negative like 900 points or something.
So you're like all in on this.
But I've climbed up. I'm now at 844 points. I only had one wrong pick. I thought Alliance could beat Royal Never Give Up, but they misclicked on that gyro, and there was no coming back from that. It would have been a good story, though. But it's going really good. The tournament's shaping up really good. So tonight we're looking at day 2 of the main stage. We're gonna start off tonight with who's first on the schedule tonight. We're watching OG versus Newbie, and I've got OG.
Well, you said OG is last year's champion, right?
OG's last year's champion, and they're shaping up pretty good. I mean, they did really well in group stages. They wound up coming in first in their group with a 6-2-0 record. And that's actually the lead of everybody in there, which is surprising. I didn't know if they were going to bring it hard, but they brought it hard. And I'm hoping that they're going to give a lot of these Chinese teams, because we got PSG LGD and Vici Gaming also topping off the charts, with Secret and Evil Geniuses not far behind. Now, what I'm really excited for is going to see if any of these lower bracket teams are going to make a huge run all the way through the lower brackets, and see if somebody like Infamous can pull off like a massive upset, or even Mineski. I know that they're both down in the lower brackets and waiting to see if they're going to have to fight Newbie OG or Secret EG, but either way, they're going to have it really in for them. But I love to see one of those teams in the lower bracket make that run all the way up and be like, hey, we're here, and we're going to take it. I love a story like that, but we'll see. We'll see. This could also be the first year that we get, Gabe Newell said in the opening statements or opening announcements after the performance, like, let's see if we get a double repeat winner, because nobody's ever won twice. No player, no team has ever won twice. So I'd love to see either Kuro and Liquid take it. I'd love to see OG and Big Daddy take it. Big Daddy No Tail out there.
When is the final, by the way?
The finals is going to be August 24th at 11 p.m. our time.
So that's what, it's Saturday?
It's
Sunday.
I think it's 4 days from now.
Wednesday, Thursday, Saturday.
Saturday.
So, do you want to watch that final together? I just need to watch at least the Super Bowl.
It starts at 11 p.m. our time.
And your point is?
Well, I mean, I don't know. We'll see what's going on. I was thinking about it, but I might just wait till Sunday and watch it.
Well, how long are the matches?
About an hour, and the finals is a best of 5.
Oh, so it's gonna be 5 hours.
Yeah.
So Sunday, I should go to your house in the morning.
Well, I was already planning on it. I managed to drag a couple of the other guys in to watch it the last few years, so maybe we can do that at somebody else's house that's got some more room and couch set up.
I mean, I do.
We could check it out, maybe.
Do we just stream it on the TV?
Yeah, just through Twitch.
Okay.
Yeah, check it out on Twitch, everybody. You know, go out there, support esports. This is really the only esport that I watch, but I think it's a great time. I've been loving it. You know, they're very aware. You know, the casters say all the time, you know, hey, if you're just somebody that tunes in once a year to check this out, because it balloons. The scale and scope of this tournament is amazing. Like, you get on and there's hundreds of thousands of people watching. I mean, what's the prize pool this year? Is $15 million for the winning team. The total prize pool is up to $33 million. It's
obviously grown since you started watching it.
Oh yeah, I feel real bad for the teams that were in like TI 1 and 2 when it was like not even close, and then like the next year it jumps up to like 10 million or something crazy.
That's crazy. Yeah. No, I definitely want to check that out with you, man. I know you showed me about a year ago when we first started even talking about joining up for the podcast. So yeah, I definitely need to check that out with you.
Well,
now,
that's what's going on in the Dota world.
Now, what's going on in our inflation deflation world?
So, everybody, inflation deflation challenge. This week, we are checking out Star Wars Rogue Squadron.
Rogue Squadron
for the N64. This was developed by Factor 5 Studio and LucasArts. Published by LucasArts. Designers were Mark Hay Hutchinson.
You mean Mark?
And Holger Schmidt. Released December 98, and you know, this game had great scores. It was a solid 8 out of 10. Everybody really enjoyed this. I loved this game growing up. I never owned it, but I rented it all the time from Blockbuster, and I had a great time finally being able to be an X-Wing pilot and fly the Millennium Falcon and what's an A-Wing. You know, all that good stuff.
We also learned that I'm absolutely terrible at this game and probably crashed 5 times in the first. I got a game over before I even killed an enemy.
Yeah, we had a real rough time starting this, and I don't know if we were accidentally on a hard mode or what was going on.
There were some parts that I was just flying, and it was like, oh no, I've been shot.
Yeah, we struggled when we maybe should not have struggled, but we still had fun. You know, we tried to have fun. I had fun.
You had fun.
I had fun.
I was just absolutely terrible, dude. No more Rogue Squadron for me.
No more Rogue Squadron.
No more Rogue Squadron.
So, I think that John has something that he needs to admit to the audience before we start this. You told me something awful earlier, but go ahead and repeat it for the class.
What, that I don't like playing Star Wars games?
He doesn't like playing Star Wars games.
Oh, dude, I hate Star Wars games with a passion. The only game I ever really enjoyed was Star Wars Battlefront 2 on the Xbox, and even then, that was a
great game.
That was pushing it for me, even then.
What is it about Star Wars games you don't like?
I don't know,
I know they're
dude.
not always the most polished.
That's probably what it is that they're just not very well polished. The firing on the... dude, like, the hidden enemy is the biggest pain in the ass in those games. It's just not... I don't know. There's just something about them that I just don't like. So they're not polished well. You know what it reminds me of? Every single one of their games reminds me of those like movie to game titles that when we were younger they would always release, like, oh, the Transformers movie came out, let's release a Transformers game that just absolutely sucks. It was like
Transformers Platinum game is really good.
Oh no, I'm talking about the movie based ones.
Yeah, the movie tie-in games.
Yeah,
movie tie-in games are usually shovelware. I mean, I had you know what? I don't know.
Shovelware is just pushing it.
I loved Star Wars games. I played a ton of the Phantom Menace game. I played a ton of Pod Racer, Rogue Squadron, the Rogue Squadron 2 for GameCube.
Now, I did like playing, I think KOTOR was on the PC years
never
ago.
played much KOTOR.
That one I did like a little bit, but again, it's just Star Wars games, we're probably gonna like lose every possible Star Wars fan that listens to our podcast.
I like Star Wars. John sucks.
Okay, so we might keep him. I've just always hated Star Wars games.
See, okay, so how much is that influencing your decision here? So let's get down to brass tacks. So we got complete inbox.
I think you mean blast tax.
Complete inbox, $19.99. Now, this is down right now. It's actually holding steady for the last few weeks, but this peaked at $26.06 back in April of 2018.
So it's not Wising, that's for sure.
No, it's not Wising. And the loose version is $7.54, and it peaked at $9.97 just a couple months ago in June, and it's heading down. So some people are just selling it on the cheap, just trying to unload it right now. I guess
some people are really just agreeing with John, and then Star Wars games suck.
You're ahead of us on this one, folks. So if you're looking to get this game, it's really not going to cost you a whole lot. Now, I think that this is a wonderful game. I think the box art is really good. I like the look of what they put together on the box and the cover of this game. And I'm going to say that for $20, I would pick up like a nice clean looking copy of this game just to have it, because I think it's a fun game and it reminds me a lot of my childhood. And if I had an N64 and the time to sit down and play through this whole game, I would totally do it.
Well, I can put you to a test on that. I can loan you an N64 controller, memory card, adapter.
I've got Zone of the Enders to beat, John. Don't bother me.
You just said that you'll play this game. Okay, so I'm going to go on the idea that you think this game is deflated, and you are definitely down to pay more for this if you could.
I think that for nostalgia's sake, and if it was a good, clean-looking box, I'd pay $25 for this game.
Okay, so
we didn't even check out the multiplayer either.
Good thing we didn't, because you'd destroy me. So you know when a balloon is at like just that split second before it's about to pop? That's where I'm at with this. Like, it's so inflated in my mind that it's about to pop, but it's not. And I wouldn't even. This is really just bias at this point, because I so hate Star Wars games.
Well, now what about, let me give you a different light to look at this in. So anybody who doesn't know, any new listeners, hey, thanks for joining us. Check us out on all our social media at the Game Deflators, except for on Twitter where it's Game Deflators, because you can't put a "the" before it because it's not long enough.
Good time, Ryan, because they can also hear us on Podbean, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and all your major podcasts.
Because we're there too.
Yeah,
or keep listening here. But anyways, let me tell the people out there. So John is the big collector here. John likes to collect RPGs for Sony consoles. Now, there's got to be people out there, because I know there's people who love Star Wars and they collect Star Wars memorabilia, Star Wars action figures, Star Wars DVDs, Star Wars books, Star Wars this, Star Wars that. There's all kinds of people who collect Star Wars. There's got to be people out there who are looking to build their Star Wars game collection. Now, if you were to be somebody who loved Star Wars and wanted to collect Star Wars games, and for some reason you didn't have this game, for a collector,
$5.
$5.
If you're a collector and you plan on playing this game.
Why just $5? You don't think you think the game is that bad?
Again, it doesn't look very well polished. I don't know how many times.
It was an 8 out of 10 when it came out.
Well, 8 out of 10 people were smoking something.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, dude, I'm not a fan of Star Wars games, and this one just did not convince me further. In fact, that this just kind of increased my hatred towards the Star Wars game franchise. Like, Lucas can, I don't know, I don't want to say it on our podcast because it's not appropriate.
Well, best you not then.
Best I not. So, yes, I think this game is heavily inflated at its $7.50 price range because, yes, I'm completely biased against this. You were mentioning that I'm a big RPG collector. The other thing, though, is I am big into platformer games. I do like racing games. I love sports games. There's a lot of games I like. I even like games like Ace Combat and other fighter, jet type of titles. This is just a game I absolutely hate. Not a fan of it.
Well, you heard it here first, folks.
John is biased, yes.
John is biased and sucks.
And you know what's funny, though? I might suck a lot at DDR, because that is the other game that we can tie into this as me being equally terrible, if not worse. I still like the DDR series, regardless. And that I would rate much higher than any Star Wars game. So just to give you that, food for thought.
All right. Well, I will never ask John to play another Star Wars game on this show.
Oh no,
folks.
We can. I'm not worried about it. Actually, hold on, no, not every Star Wars game that I hate. I absolutely loved playing Return of the Jedi on Super Nintendo.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Isn't that the super hard one?
It is.
Wow.
But platformer style, and you're going through, and there's a slave land Jabba the Hutt.
All right. Well, I'll have to see you try this game sometime.
We should actually, I would say next week, but you really are dying to play some hockey on the SNES.
So, the official word on Star Wars Rogue Squadron, I'm going to say that this game is deflated. I think it's a great game at its price, and I think that I would be willing to go a little bit higher for a clean in-box copy. But I think holding steady at $20, that's great. If you're into Star Wars, pick it up.
Don't listen to me. I'm completely biased. If you hate Star Wars games equally as much as I do, but for some reason love Return of the Jedi, then yeah, don't buy this game. Stay away from it.
So,
but we'll stay with Ryan's point. Pick it up if you enjoy Star Wars.
Yeah, so let us know what you thought about this episode somewhere out there. Hit us up on social media. Hashtag Lightside if you agree with me. Hashtag Darkside if you think John sucks.
That's not
and you
fair.
Agree with him.
If I suck and you agree with me?
Or we'll give the people the choice. So if they think you suck,
hashtag John
and
sucks.
if they agree with you, or if they agree with you, whatever.
It's a good thing I control all of our social media, so nobody will ever hear that. And I can just edit this out. Will I? No, because I'm lazy.
Well, join us next week, folks, as we go way back in time and play some hockey with our boy Wayne Gretzky on the Super Nintendo.
Dude, I absolutely love these games. The hockey games, I played countless hours. In fact, this particular copy, if I am correct, is my old Blockbuster rental that I ended up just purchasing as a kid because I wanted to play it so much.
Well, there we go. I'm excited. You get excited. And we'll see you guys next week.
On
the Game Deflators?
Did you just question who we are, Ryan?
I don't know. You didn't say my name.
I didn't say your name.
You didn't say your name either.
I didn't say my name. What's going on? Okay, I'm John.
I'm Ryan.
I'm John. This is backwards. I'm John.
I'm Ryan.
And we are
the Game Deflators.